morning, good Tuesday. There apparently is no joy in Memphis. I don't know if you get that particular reference. I got to ask Landon Schmidt. Do you remember Casey at the Bat? That's my reference there. Do you know what Casey at the Bat is?
No, I do not.
Brian Dacus is standing next to you. Do you remember what the reference, there is no joy in Mudville? No. Jay Ham, self-proclaimed, not really, he's a historian. Do you know there is no joy in Mudville? No! All
0 for
three
3 over here.
Casey at the Bat? You've never heard the poem Casey at the Bat? Brian Dacus, it's a baseball reference.
I will say I'm more surprised knowing it's a poem that Brian doesn't know.
Oh, my God. The three of you? I'm stunned. The historian, the baseball guy, and the young, sharp up-and-comer? None of you know Casey at the Bat? Google it quickly. There is no joy in Mudville. My whole point was there is no jaw in Memville because joy has eluded jaw. What a mess that is the Grizzlies have, and really it's not just the joy for jaw. It's they can't shoot. They shot, for the most part, in that game 30 in the 30s last night. They ended at 40%. The scorers or the shooters on that team, besides Jaren Jackson Jr., would we agree KPC, Wells, and Ja would be the shooters on that team from the outside? Is that with I guess Santi Aldama and Jaren Jackson Jr., would you agree with that?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. You know those three, KPC, Wells, Ja, they were 0 for 14 collectively from three-point range last night. Oh, and by the way, how about valuing possessions? Do you know they had 20 turnovers last night? But the worst part about that is points off turnovers, 33-8. How are you going to win that game? You know, Detroit is a good team, I think. I think they will be a contender as opposed to a pretender in the East. They got a real star in Cunningham. Stewart's a good player. Duran's a good player, a former Tiger. You know, they're missing a few people with injuries, too. Ivy, for one, who's a good player. But you can't lose the rebound, not the rebound battle. You can't lose points in the paint, although that's Detroit's bread and butter. But that was absolutely one-sided. And you can't give away possessions to the point of 33-8 points off turnovers. That's why you lose by 8, 114-106, and you couldn't shoot. Ja had a double-double. He had 18 and 10, but you know what? He had 5 of the 20 assists. And no joy. It's clear he's not over it. It's clear the front office isn't going to talk about it. When Tuomas Isalo said, it's internal, we're not talking about it, and then tried to smile, but you could see there is stuff still simmering below the surface. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think you trade Ja for all of this yet, unless you are offered a deal you cannot refuse. This guy did give effort last night, but clearly it's not the same intensity. I don't even know if he loves his teammates like he used to. When Vince Williams got into it with Thompson last night and all the bench stood up, Ja did not. According to the reports I read, I watched it on TV. I was not at the game. There's a major problem here. And when you take a look at what the future or the near future is, it's Houston on Wednesday. It's Dallas on Friday, and then it's the defending champions, I think could be repeat champions, OKC, on Sunday. They're now 3-5. They could be 3-8 the way things are going. Is it fair to really judge Tuomas Isola at this point? He hasn't had much time. 8 games is not much of a sample size for being the full-time coach. He doesn't have his full arsenal. He's missing 4 players that would be either start or be in his rotation. One of those players that he did get in this trade, KPC, he has not played very well at all. He played good in the preseason, but he sort of left it in the preseason. And he's gotten into a fight with the star of the team, who doesn't really, it appears, really want to play here anymore. I don't know what you do. Some of this is on Zach Kleiman. Robert Pera ought to get here and figure this out with these guys. They can say we're moving forward. They certainly didn't look like a team moving forward last night. If Ja was involved in the dismissal of Taylor Jenkins, and you know collectively as a franchise, you know that was a part of it, you don't release the guy that he okayed 8 games in, all because of one dust-up. Maybe this is just the way Ja is, full of drama, full of I want to be all the attention. I don't know. This is a new thing with this subtle stuff, so tough. The darkest hour is just before dawn, and maybe this does get smoothed over. It sure doesn't look like it's going to, but maybe it does. You never know. But some adult has to take over here, and maybe that's Robert Pera. Maybe that's Zach Kleiman. He's not saying anything about this. Somebody has got to get a hold of the parties and come to a kumbaya moment. Because if you stay in this right now, I don't think you're winning the next 3 games. I think you're 3-8. Now you're really reeling because there's other good games. San Antonio's on the near horizon. The Knicks in New York, I think, are on the horizon. This is a very tough moment for the Memphis Grizzlies. Little bit of work before we do this on the air. We are getting a hold of Tim Doolin. Doolin is talking baseball today. We're moving Steve Earhart to tomorrow because I want to put baseball and the World Series, which was such a great, really, classic. I want to put it to bed today, talk about some unsung heroes, get the best storylines of this past year and what we expect those great storylines will be next year. So Tim Doolin is going to join us momentarily. I sit in the Family Leisure studio. I told you it would happen. It has. I hope you cashed in, but that's the great thing about Family Leisure. They've always got another sale. That's why they're such a great business. And they really are. Go walk in the place. Go talk to Lindsay. She's the owner. Go talk to Billy. He's part of the institution. He's been the makeup, I think, since the place opened. And they've come up with a new thing. It's called the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Clearance. So you're still getting great prices on these things. Like the hot tub started under $25,000. Those swim spas that are amazing, they started under $15,000. In stock patio furniture. This is the best thing I've seen. That's up to 50% off. So go check it all out. The hot tub thing is really in full swing. They got to move stuff out, as always, to bring the new stuff in. Here's your chance, particularly on the in-stock patio furniture. This is all state of the line here, state of the art. It's the newest fabrics, it's the newest designs, and it's 50% off. I'd get there. I-40 and Wooden Road. I'd go talk to those really wonderful people at Family Leisure. All right, let's head across town. Tim Doolin on baseball, our last show of the year until... Well, we may talk to you during the winter meetings, but we're going to put to bed this great World Series. What a classic it was, 7 games, incredible comebacks, got extra innings. You've got unbelievable skilled play, as good as it could get. Tim Doolin, good morning.
Good morning. I don't know that it could have gotten any better. I mean, I'm not as old as Wolo, but I've seen some really good World Series, and I can tell you this was from start to finish, going Game 7, and really the ratings were probably through the roof just because you had so many superstars and future Hall of Famers. I mean, look at the those two rosters. You probably got 8 or 9 future Hall of Famers. You got Dave Roberts going to be a Hall of Famer. You got Mookie Betts. You got
Freddie Freeman,
Kershaw. You got Freddie Freeman. You can make a case for for Will Smith.
Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, I mean,
Scherzer's a Hall of Famer.
There you go.
Kershaw is Kershaw a Hall of Famer?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Look at all those Hall of Famers.
And I don't know that there's. We could do a little research here and report back during the winter meetings, but I don't know that there's ever been a World Series that's going to have that many future Hall of Famers.
That's a great investigation right there. That could be the most Hall of Famers in one World Series. Wow.
Yeah, and there were so many plays, Wolo, that were just influential, at the right time, not just in their course of a game, whatever, but that really impacted the game. Dave Roberts' decision to put Paez in center field, he makes that great catch that I don't know that Tommy Edmonds makes. And then moving Rojas to second, the plays that Rojas made was amazing.
Let's just talk about that. Here's a guy who has, 57 career home runs in a long career?
Yeah.
Not only does he hit the home run, he also makes that, and you're talking about it, that great defensive play to get the force at home that was so close. That's that close to the World Series going to the Blue Jays.
Well, put it this way. If they would have called him safe and reviewed it, they wouldn't have overturned it. Yeah. That's how close it was.
That's right.
Instead, they called him out, and they couldn't overturn it because it was that close. But, no, it was just amazing. And really, for the longest, for 6 games, you'd probably say the Blue Jays deserve to win this because they played better. And they really did. And then you just look up and you go, oh, you can't count these guys out. And sure as the world, they come back and win it in extra innings in the 7th game. It was just a great, great World Series.
Just to dramatize, if I could, the move that Dave Roberts made by moving Rojas to second base, who makes the play that ends up winning the World Series, I think, and he also had the big home run. I was looking this morning because I could not remember his first name, Miguel. And I looked at 3 different depth charts, CBS, ESPN, and maybe MLB.com. He is not listed at second base on any of those depth charts, and 2 of them went 4 deep, okay? So Dave Roberts has had to be brilliant. Well, maybe there's some clairvoyance involved in this. Didn't you tell me Rojas' wife insisted he was going to end up being a hero in this?
Well, what's crazy about it is and Mookie and I talked yesterday before the parade, and he said it too, but I saw it on TV, and Miguel Rojas' wife tells him before the World Series, you're going to hit a home run. He said, honey, I'm not even playing. And then she tells him again, Game 7 day, you're going to hit a home run tonight. And what's crazy about it is if you go back, obviously there were multiple plays that influenced the whole series. But if you go back and just look at it, why in the world they're throwing 95, 96-mile-an-hour fastballs by him? He's fouling a few off. He's not on them. And then they go throw him a slider and just speeds his bat up, and he was able to stay on it long enough and get it out. But that I'm sure that pitcher and the catcher are just scratching their head, going, "Why did we do that?" Because odds of him hitting a home run on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball not good. But anyway, it's baseball.
And now his legacy is set forever. It's unreal. All right, best.
And then you go again. Kiki Hernandez makes that play running in on the line drive to double up the guy at second. Yeah, he didn't swing the bat that well, but we've said it over and over again. Teams that win World Series and win championships have a handful of stars and a lot of really good baseball players that bring something to the table. That's why they've kept Kiki Hernandez around so long. That's why they've got Rojas. That's why they got a Tommy Edmonds that the Cardinals gave up, that can play multiple positions, that brings chemistry and the it factor to a team. And that's what makes championship teams and dynasties like the Dodgers have created.
So that's back-to-back. We haven't had back-to-back-to-back since, the Yankees, like the early O's. Is this Dodgers team capable of doing that? Are enough coming back? Are enough in their prime?
They're more than capable. I don't see any of those guys.
They got to get a reliever.
They will, but look, they got money. They're going to go spend the money, and they'll try. And the one thing the Dodgers have, and I deal with them a lot because I've got relationships with a lot of their guys in their front office in minor leagues. They have plenty of guys on the farm that they can trade, prospects, and they will. They're not going to be quiet this offseason, I can assure you.
All right. What will be the best story? Let's start with the best of this year. Your favorite 2 or 3 storylines. I know you have to be fond of the Cal Raleigh story.
Yeah, I think that's the first and foremost. Is and I think we talked about it a month ago. Is for as much of a grind that a catcher has on a daily basis, going through scouting reports, pitching charts, how we're going to attack the other team, and then to add the fact that here's a guy that's a switch hitter that has broken all these records and being able to do it. And he did it consistently over the whole course of the year. It wasn't like he was up and down. He was consistent the whole year. So to me, that's the story for sure. You got to look at what Paul Skeens is creating, with his early entrance to the big leagues. And, he's probably going to win another Cy Young, was the Rookie of the Year. And who knows what the Pirates will do? Will they, try to build around him and spend money? Typically, history proves that they don't. So where is he going to end up when he becomes a free agent? Or will they trade him and try to rebuild with, probably a number of prospects? But he was phenomenal to watch. And I think overall, I think the state of baseball is continuing to get better and better. And the product is better, and the young players coming up are better. So I'm really excited for that.
I think the rule changes have been big. I think some other storylines. How about Milwaukee? I mean, everybody thought Chicago was going to win that division, and they spent more money than Milwaukee. And it was Milwaukee with the best regular season record. That was, I think, outstanding. Of course, Toronto and what they were able to accomplish was great. The Yankees being a bust, that's a storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think you go to the Brewers, and not to beat a dead horse, but we just got through talking about the fact that the Brewers were a complete baseball team. They played the game. They hit and run. They run the bases. They play good defense. They pitched it really well, and that's what the Blue Jays did. And to some extent, that's what the Dodgers ended up doing to win that World Series. So hopefully, other teams that like the Yankees and that are continuing to play, lift and separate, hit home runs, don't care about strikeouts, don't care if you hit 220. Don't need to move runners over, don't need to bunt. Those teams need to reflect and look and say, what are they doing that are making them so good? Especially a Milwaukee, who doesn't have a great, huge payroll like the Dodgers or the Yankees. I think some of these analytic departments go in and figure out all these algorithms, but at the end of the day, you cannot measure the Kiki Hernandez, the Tommy Edmonds, the Mookie Betts, the it factor that brings a team together in a clubhouse. They're with each other every day, and that's how they win. And so hopefully baseball's turning more toward, getting away from worrying about launch angle and just go compete and play the game. And let's get some really, really good hitters. And, oh, by the way, some of them can hit with power. That's what Don Mattingly instilled into the Blue Jays, and it worked.
Yeah. I'm sorry he didn't get a ring. I really am.
No, I know.
All right, let's start with what you think next season's great storylines are going to be, and obviously the first one is three-peat for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think they've got. I mean, like we just said, I think they got a legitimate shot to do it, and don't think that they're going to rest on their laurels of going back to back. They're going to be active, probably starting today, figuring out who they're going after, what their needs are, what they can trade to improve that club. And you're right, they've got to get some solidification in their bullpen. I tell you, one thing that I'm excited about is what I'm always been a fan of Tito. What he did in his first year in Cincinnati, and then he's made some coaching changes, and they've got some great young stars. I'm anxious to see what the Reds do next year.
Me too.
Will they spend money? They need to. If they go spend some money, They already, made a huge jump from where they were a year ago to now. So I'm anxious to see what they do. Anxious to see what the Cardinals are going to do.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
What will the Cardinals do? Kurt Bloom takes over full time. Goodbye to Mazzelik.
Yep.
He's keeping his manager. I was a little surprised at that. What will they do? What will the Cubs do? They rented a player for a year who did not have a great back half of a season, and I'm not sure if they're going to re-sign him.
Well, they're going to lose the free agent. He's gone. He won't come back. I can assure you that. And so that they've got there's question marks for sure. Had lunch with Blaze Jordan the other day. He got traded from the Red Sox to the Cardinals. Bloom was the GM that drafted him. He got a chance to go to Busch Stadium and work out with some of their top prospects. He's super excited. I think you're going to see the Cardinals. And the reason why I think they didn't fire the manager, they didn't want to disrupt all of it. But if they struggle the first half of the season, I think you see Bloom make a change there, and hopefully for the Blaze Jordans in that organization that they're going to have an ample opportunity to get called up. If Blaze starts out in Memphis next year and puts up some good numbers, trust me, when Bloom makes a trade or any GM makes a trade to bring in a player, that helps the player because that GM's got his name on it, and that's one of the first trades he made. So he's pulling for Blaze, I can assure you, like we all are.
Do you think
so
Blaze,
if he goes out and puts up numbers, he'll be in the big leagues?
You've seen them all, and you've seen his progression from being like an eighth grader.
Right.
Is he ready? Is
I think he is. Last year was a very solid year for him, kind of a transition year from he made some swing adjustments, put up really good numbers. He's got some versatility. He's really a primary first baseman that can play third, and so that's good for him. At the end of the day, his best position is that batter's box. So if he continues to hit and hit with some power, he's got a really good chance to be a big leaguer for a long time.
All right, Tim, we will talk to you during baseball meetings. Can't wait for all of that when the winter meetings convene. In the meantime, thank you again for your participation in I don't know how many years, but you have a lifetime contract, so we'll see you again next year.
All right, we'll head to Miramichi and talk about it.
There you go. I love it. I'll
All
probably triple your salary.
There you go. That's good.
I know.
I'm excited. All right, have a good day. Thanks, Wolo.
You got it. Thank you. That's
all
Tim
right,
Doolin on baseball. That concludes our coverage for the moment of the 25 season. We take a break. When we come back, to Baton Rouge we go. Hugh Freeze bit the dust. What does Ron Higgins think about all of that? He comes your way in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, friends. It's Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. The seasons have changed, and fall is my favorite time of the year. Fall means that Christmas is right around the corner, and we all start preparing for that most wonderful time of the year. All families have their own traditions, and they bring so much joy. And a part of that joy comes in giving gifts to those we love. For over 5 decades, Russell Brothers Jewelers has been the source of many of the most beautiful gifts ladies in Memphis have ever seen. Gifts that are cherished and frequently handed down from one generation to the next. Gentlemen, as you think about a gift for your special lady this Christmas or any time, I hope you will think about Russell Brothers Jewelers. Beauty, value, quality, and service are our hallmarks at Russell Brothers. This Christmas, come see us at Russell Brothers. We will help make you the best St. Nick ever. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis has serious vans for serious work. At 4430 American Way, they are the Mid-South source for cargo, passenger, crew vans, and custom chassis. Need one or a full fleet? New or used, they've got it. With fleet solutions and custom upfits. Certified techs keep you moving with fast maintenance, repairs, and a large parts inventory. Mercedes-Benz Van Center is your Sprinter Van headquarters. 901-237-9302 or sprintervans.com. Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis, part of the Tag Truck Center family. Driven to keep you on the road.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Memphis football is back in action Friday, November 7th, when the Tigers take on the Tulane Green Wave in our Salute to Service game. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock, and Tiger Nation, wear black. The first 2,500 fans will score a Memphis Tiger camo trucker hat thanks to Mid-South Pulmonary. Join us as we honor and celebrate all military and first responders. Be all in. Get your tickets now at gotigersgo.com/tickets.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgos. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef, and she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or a steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meats. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper was more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at the Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948, the Rendezvous.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
So Sunday morning, another one bit the dust. This time it was Hugh Freeze at Auburn, which, and I said this yesterday at the risk of repeating myself, surprised the heck out of me. I thought when Hugh Freeze, who'd won at every level from high school to the Lane colleges of the world, to Arkansas State, to Ole Miss, to knocking off Alabama on a regular basis, coming to Auburn, I thought was a home run. Well, it turns out it was not at all. So let me bring in the guy that I know knows the SEC better or as good as anybody. That would be Ron Higgins. Were you surprised that Hugh Freeze failed on the Plains? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I was. Hugh's been really good offensively everywhere he's been. And I just, Hugh, they never could get enough a quarterback he really liked until this year. And then when he got there, they were behind on the receivers. I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was 2-3 years ago, he came here to LSU. And I visited with him before a game. He talked about, because we just don't have enough receivers right now. We just don't have enough receivers for a viable offense. And they finally got some receivers, but they never got the quarterback. They just, it didn't work. And I think Auburn got tired of, watching an offensive guy have no offense. I mean, as soon as I saw the score Saturday night that Auburn lost 10-3 on their home field of Kentucky, I knew it was over for them. I feel bad. I've always liked Hugh Freeze. Maybe I'm the contrary person to that, but I got to know him really well when he covered Ole Miss. I think despite some of the stuff that happened in his background, we all make mistakes, and he righted himself at Liberty, and he got another chance in SEC, and it didn't work. And I hope for him. I hope he would take some time off and evaluate what he wants to do, because he's battled cancer the last year or two, and I don't know how much that's helped him. I think it's really unfair that it's a convenient excuse that a football coach plays golf, that they think he spent too much time on the golf course. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all.
No,
it didn't work. It didn't work.
I'll tell you what happened here. Well, you're right. Maybe he didn't ever get his quarterback, and when finally he did, he didn't have enough other pieces to help it. Here is where I think Auburn, of all like the coaches like James Franklin, I have a hard time with. I really do. But when you're 6-16 in the league, you've been there 2 years and you haven't had a over 500 season.
Yeah.
And you're 1-11 against ranked teams. I can understand why they're thinking this just isn't going to work here. But I was stunned by it all. I really was.
Yeah, I just I really don't where like college football is going. Basically it's the NFL where you fire coaches if they don't win after 2 or 3 seasons, and because the players are being paid, boosters expect an immediate return on investment from their head coach. We should be winning this. We should be winning that. But look, the SEC is tougher than ever, man. I mean, every week. I think last week they had like 4 games that were decided in one possession. I believe. I believe the margin of victory is probably now just under 10 points for an SEC game this year in the SEC teams. It's really hard to win this league now. I mean, Oklahoma and Texas came in, and Oklahoma seemed to stay on its footing. You know, and Texas played well last year, and they had a slow start this year, but Archie's got it going. It's harder than ever to win this league, and it's like everybody expects, you know. I mean, look what happened at LSU. I mean, the guys has tried to rebuild from Orgeron, and he had a good record, but things didn't happen quick enough.
How much of that you think that he just wasn't a likable fella? I read a lot of stories. I know you liked him, but there are people that say he was not a very nice human being to his staff and things of that nature. I don't know.
Neither was Nick Saban. I mean, this isn't the whole Louisiana mentality of like he's got to be one of us or he's got to be nice. Look, every coach has a different coaching style. Okay, they just do. I mean, some are more likable than others. I never had a problem with the guy. I think he was likable. I thought he was kind of like Nick when Nick was coaching. Nick was all about football. He didn't want to make anything personal. He didn't want to have relationships really. Not a warm and fuzzy guy. I mean, this is just a case of a governor in Louisiana gone wild, overstepping his bounds and blowing something up and just blowing the whole athletic department up within a week.
Yeah, well, he sure did. That is pretty amazing. It's typical Louisiana politics, which is embarrassing. Do you think that makes it harder for them to hire a new coach? For instance, I think with all the jobs open, and let's face it, now you've got LSU, you've got Penn State, you've got Florida, now you've got Auburn. Auburn's got a problem because, I'm almost surprised they did it when they did it, because how many great coaches are going to be available? Some of the ones that we thought might be available signed long-term contracts. They use the leverage to stay where they are. Who's going to take these jobs?
Exactly. In LSU's case, do you really want to come here when you start reading the story details of how stuff went down? Hell no.
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, again, Lane Kiffin. People are going to offer him $14 or $15 million a year. I don't think it's going anywhere. Why? Because Ole Miss finally has a chance to win. Now in this NIL era where everybody can buy players, they have a good chance to win. And he's done a really good job there. And I don't know if he
So how much do you think he ends up getting if he stays?
I don't know if he's going. I don't know if he's going to demand more money. That's the whole thing. I mean,
but his agent is Jimmy Sexton. He will.
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't mean that the Sexton demands money. I mean, Sexton might want more money. Keep in mind, Jimmy. You know what? You want to give me a little bump, I'm fine, but I'm happy here. Okay, for the first time in my life, I'm happy where I am. I'm content. I have my family around me. I'm happy here. Money is not everything. Okay. So don't go and hold somebody for hostage, okay? Please. He might say that.
He might. Maybe so. That would be a departure for a Sexton client.
Yeah, it would be. And Jimmy hates that because Jimmy wants to make his,
right.
He wants to make as much money as possible. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way Jimmy is. And he wants his clients. He wants to make sure his clients get paid. But I think sometimes. And I can tell from Kevin's case. Once you finally found a place where you're happy and you think you can win, and the people are happy with you, why don't you stay there and ride it out until they're not happy with you? Okay,
Right.
I mean, why? I mean, but why uproot everything? I mean, you built yourself back up. You left Tennessee, got by USC, rehabbed at Alabama. Went to Florida International, whatever it was, came back through there. And worked his way back and found a spot that seemingly works for him at a time in his life where he's actually matured somewhat and happy. And so it's probably in his mind, he's thinking, do I really want to go to a place like LSU? I mean, when I'm reading all the insane stuff they're doing, with their head coach who basically they decided in the second half of a football game to fire him the next day. It's just insane. So it's college football is just gotten way out of control, and sometimes it's not pleasant to watch because all the stuff that's going on and players are being bought. I guarantee in the end, they can talk about all the people that might break into the college football playoff this year that have been there before. But I guarantee in the end, in those semifinals, they'll be the same usual suspects. Book it.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. Which is why, if I'm Lane, and I'm not telling him to go, I think you're right about peace of mind. That 30 for 30 they did with him was eye-opening, and it sure seems like he's a changed guy. So we'll see how it all plays out. But here's the thing: we know through history that you can win a title at LSU. LSU is not just Saban, but Les Miles. If he can win, come on, you can win.
If Les Miles and Ed Orgeron can win titles,
exactly,
that's the attraction. I think Brian Kelly looked at that. I think Brian Kelly was looking at them and saying, God, if those guys can win there, why the hell can I?
Right, exactly. So if Lane wants to do that, if he wants to accomplish that, then that's a reason for leaving just based on history. But you make a good point. So I'm going to ask you point blank. With the new NIL system and the way Ole Miss has played, and they always seem to come up with a quarterback, do you think you can win a national title in Oxford?
For a long time, I didn't think that Ole Miss would even win the SEC again. They haven't done it since like 1961, I think. I think before John Kennedy was assassinated. How long it's been? Yeah, now I'm starting to think, yeah. Do you get the right components on defense, especially? I think they can. They're in play now. They're in play, but again, it's a tough as hell conference, man.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna fail somewhere along the way. If you get out of this conference, look, if you lose 2 games in this conference and get out of the season like that, you're doing well now. Honest to God, it's that hard.
Well, let's go there. All right. So let's look at the race and try to determine who's going to be in the championship game. We know they're going to get 4 at least in the playoff. You've got 2 unbeatens, Alabama and A&M. You got 3 more with 1 league loss, 2 more with 2 league losses. I think they're all into play. So what is that? 7 teams still with a chance for to get in the final 2. Who's going to make the final 2?
Texas A&M and probably Alabama or Georgia. Yeah, I really like A&M. I've seen them up close. I've watched them all season. Even the games that they don't play well defensively, they have the offense that can win games for you. But when their defense plays well, when everything clicks together like it did at LSU a couple weeks ago, they are a well-oiled football machine and well-coached.
Could you see a scenario where if A&M does win that and Penn State made an offer to Elko that was, beyond his wildest dreams, could that happen?
That could happen, but now, I think now that look, I don't think you're going to outbid the Aggies, honestly. Aggies have money, Hoss. All that oil money in Texas between the Longhorns and the Aggies, They got money. It's hard to outbid them. It really is.
All right, last thing. All the models that I see that are out there pretty much have the SEC with 4 teams into the playoffs. The Big Ten with 3, the Big 12 because of Texas Tech's emergence. Now they bought a team, and BYU being so good, they would get 2. The ACC, now that Miami's lost, Virginia seems to be in the driver's seat. I don't know, but they're only going to get 1. Notre Dame loses 2 games. Now they're going to win out on a really easy schedule. They did get USC, 1 for the resume. They're probably going to get in 1 from the group of 5. That's 12. Is that the way you think it'll play out?
Yeah, I do. That's exactly what I think it'll play out. I do. Who could be the wild card that could, go further? Indiana's been really impressive this year. I got to hand it to them. They have been impressive. Ohio State's been steady. Not spectacular, but just got to win. I think that's why they'll probably be they're number 1 and probably they'll be the top seed. But again, once you get in the playoff, anything can happen. Let me tell you one thing. I mean this sincerely. I'm pulling for the Memphis Tigers so damn hard to get the college football playoff. I think it would be for people who watched that team for years in Memphis, and for somebody like me who worked there for 30 years. It's one of the greatest stories. It'd be one of the greatest stories ever in college football history for that program to be in a college football playoff. It just would. I mean, unless you're from Memphis, and or like you who've been with this team for years, nobody understands that but us.
Right. Well, their fate's in their own hands. Now, they got a tough road. Starts Friday with Tulane. Then they got to go to East Carolina. There's another 1-loss team, and they got 6 teams at the top with 1 loss. I've never seen an American race like this. We're going to talk about that with Jonah Dillon here in just 1 minute. Then they would come home to take on Navy. I think Navy's going to be battered by then because they've already lost to North Texas. They got to play at Notre Dame. They got to play USF, which is a better team than them, and then Memphis. So I think Navy's out of it, but that's the road. You got a tough one Friday with Tulane. They were embarrassed at the Alamo Dome. They're going to come in really firing. They got beat up by Memphis last year. It's going to be a hell of a game Friday on national TV. As always, Ron Higgins, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Take care, Wolo. We'll see you.
That's our man on the SEC, Ron Higgins. We take a break. When we come back, we do talk the American. We talk Tiger football with commercial appeal beat writer Jonah Dillon. He's right around the corner.
Not only can you listen to your favorite shows on Sports 56, you can also watch video of the shows live on Twitter and YouTube. Watch and listen every day at Sports 56 WHBQ.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Men, let's be honest. Somewhere along the way, we stop feeling like ourselves. The long days, the stress, the pressure, they pile up. Before you know it, you're running on fumes. You still show up every day, still handle your biz, but you can feel it. You've slowed down. You're not weak, just worn down. Deep down, every guy still wants to feel strong, capable, alive again. And that's what M-Drive is all about. Helping men reclaim what makes us men. M-Drive supplements help fight back against the effects of aging. Rebuilds energy, stamina, strength, so you can show up for your family, career, life, like the man you're meant to be, confident, steady, unshakable. It's not hype. M-Drive is the #1 men's health brand at Sprouts. Real supplements, proven results. I love their protein powder. Put it in my coffee every day. Go to mdriveformen.com. The code is HERD, H-E-R-D. It's important. You put it in, you get 25% off your first order. Take control, stay strong, M-Drive. Men, let's be men again.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home and office. Protect babies, pets, new homes, old homes, employees, friends, loved ones, and you. Just call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 for the Memphis Mold Inspector.
Memphis football is back in action Friday, November 7th, when the Tigers take on the Tulane Green Wave in our Salute to Service game. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock, and Tiger Nation, wear black. The first 2,500 fans will score a Memphis Tiger camo trucker hat thanks to Mid-South Pulmonary. Join us as we honor and celebrate all military and first responders. Be all in. Get your tickets now at gotigersgo.com/tickets.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I meant to mention this earlier. I don't understand the Dallas Cowboys. And some really hair-scratching, crazy, offensive, won't-take-points ideals. Like, okay, first part of the game, I can understand you're inside the red zone. You think it's a 4th and 3, you're going to get it. I guess the analytics say, the odds are pretty good. You're going to make that. I can get that. You're down 17 points. You've got a sure field goal, and you go for it on 4th and 3.5 or 4 after you hadn't made it already in the game, and you're down 3 scores. You make it a 2-score game, and you didn't get it, and all momentum went away. I mean, just stupid. I don't get that stuff. In the meantime, I need to talk to a smart guy. That is Jonah Dillon. He is the commercial appeal beat writer for the University of Memphis football team, but he wrote a great story on Ashley Henderson, who is the junior forward on the number 3 ranked University of Memphis women's team. She played she grew up actually playing a sport I never heard of until I read your thing. I guess I've seen it. I didn't even know it had a name. Good morning, Jonah Dillon. Great story on Ashley Henderson.
Yeah, thanks. The most important thing, actually, I know a lot of people in media business know what the beat writer curse is, which is when someone who covers a team writes about a player, they usually play bad the next game. Right. But wrote a big story about Ashley Henderson, published yesterday morning, and then she scores the game-winning goal last night. So I think I've reversed that. I've reversed years of the curse. So I'm proud of myself on that one.
I gotta confess, I read it after the winning goal had already been put in there. Yeah. So at least you're off the hook on that then.
Exactly. But yeah, like you said, it was a really cool story to be able to tell. Memphis, obviously, this is a team that's competing at the highest level, number 3 in the country, the only undefeated team in the country, legitimate hopes of a deep tournament run. And one of the reasons they've been so successful is that Brooks Monaghan has recruited the entire world. You look at their team, and you're talking about Japan, Spain, Canada, all sorts of places. There's one player on the team from Memphis. He does not usually recruit Memphis. And it was really cool getting to kind of tell the ins and outs of how that happened. It wasn't like Ashley Henderson was somebody who he had his eyes on for a long time. It came up at the last minute. It was kind of like, okay, let's give her a shot as a walk-on and see what happens. Somebody who, like you said, started out playing futsal in a apartment complex, a tennis court. They took out the tennis net, made it into a kind of just a, multi-purpose court. She started kicking the ball around, playing futsal, started playing in a futsal club, in parking lots, a parking lot at this church out in Collierville. That's how she learned how to play soccer.
It's like 5-on-5, right? Isn't that what they play?
Yep, 5-on-5, playing on a court. It was really cool talking to some of the people. They had this it's a parking lot out in Collierville. They would get dark out. They'd have the parents come with their cars, turn on the headlights to be the lights for the court. And it's one of those stories you usually hear that. Usually you're talking about somewhere in Brazil or something. Those are these soccer stories about how people start playing the sport. And it's really, really cool that happened in Memphis. And that then she goes from that to the Offensive Player of the Year in the American Conference, scoring the game-winning goal, and just a huge player for a team that has been dominating so far this season. Really cool.
Brooks Monaghan is a smart guy. He started with this Canadian deal and then realized he could go other places. Japan was really the next thing he opened up. Now Spain a little bit. I mean, who knows where he's going to go. But I know this team, mainly freshman and sophomore, they're going to be good for the next few years. They should get a good seeding, considering they're number 3 in the country, maybe moving up because Notre Dame, which was the other undefeated team, lost. So we shall see. Let's move on to American football. That would be the Tigers and their performance in Houston against Rice. It was the defense against a triple option team on a short week on the road that totally dominated. A very good tune-up for the same sort of offense, although much better, when the Tigers will play Navy on Thanksgiving Day or evening.
Yeah, I don't know how much I would take from it in terms of Navy because, like you said, that offense, and especially that quarterback, Blake Corbett for Navy, operate on a different level than Rice. But definitely an encouraging performance by what Memphis did, dominating the trenches. And, look, this game was over about 5 minutes in. When Kamari Wilson makes that play and gets that turnover, Memphis then scores right away, goes up 14-0. The one thing about an option team, especially the way Rice is operated, they're not going to come back in a game like this. And so once that happened, it felt like the game was over. It felt like Memphis was in control. And it was a really encouraging defensive performance, forcing 2 turnovers against a team that the one thing they've done really well was not turn the ball over. Yeah. That's a big encouraging sign, especially we know that's going to be important moving forward this season. And that's one of the hallmarks of a Jordan Hagen's defense, right? They create chaos and they force turnovers.
Well, they'd hoped to get 1 because this team doesn't do it, and they ended up with 2. They were really good. The only bummer, up 31-7. Ryan Silverfield apparently tells his quarterback, Brandon Lewis, this is your last series. And, of course, on that last series, he got sacked and he hurt his, I think they said lower leg. I'm not sure where exactly the injury was. What do you think his status will be for Tulane's matchup on Friday?
Yeah, it sounds like things are trending in the right direction. Tim Cramsey, the offensive coordinator, we talked to him yesterday. He said that he practiced and that he felt like he was feeling good. You saw Brandon Lewis after the game walk off the field under his own power. He was limping a little bit, but it wasn't like that UAB game where he was in crutches, right? So it seems like it was a better situation. Yes, he went off the field limping and he was in a lot of pain, but also, like you said, the game was effectively over anyway, so it wasn't like they were ever going to need him to come back in. And to be honest, there were, I think, a lot of people wondering why he was even in the game at that point. So it wasn't like a situation where he needed to come back. Look, no one is 100% at this point of the season. Any coach will tell you that. It's clear that Brendan Lewis has been dealing with this, and certainly in the first half against USF, he didn't really look himself. But I would expect him to play unless something really changes over the next couple of days.
Why do you think he was so upset with that injury? I mean, his foot hurt, but he was mad about something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's look, you're talking about somebody who obviously relies on his athleticism and his running ability to do what he does as a quarterback. That's what makes him stand out, and what's made Memphis' offense so effective this season is his running ability. So, and this is what you saw in the first half against USF. Even if he's playing, if he's not 100% and he doesn't feel like he has the mobility, suddenly you're talking about a totally different type of player and a different quarterback and a different offense in terms of what you can do and what you can expect. And so I think it's all those things together, knowing that maybe it was the same injury, right, and re-aggravating it. You never know how bad it's going to be or what you're going to feel like in a week. It's kind of the same thing you talk about whenever someone's dealing with injuries. I talked to Greg DeWosier a couple weeks back about his injury and kind of knowing that he's not going to be 100%, but just trying to figure out mentally how to push through it. I think it's just those things kind of happening within a game.
All right, let's turn to Friday. Big game. Tulane got really kind of embarrassed by UTSA in the Alamo Dome, but they never lose a conference game in the Alamo Dome. What do you think we're going to get? Some people thought the way they played against UTSA that John Summerall has already taken another job. I don't believe that is the case at this point. I do think Auburn's going to go after him, though. But anyway, that's all besides the point. What do you think you see from the Green Wave?
Yeah, it's weird. The UTSA game, as I told you the other day, there's ghosts in the Alamo Dome. That's why they can never lose. So I don't know how much from Tulane you want to read into that. A, UTSA never loses at home. B, we've seen Tulane for the past couple games. They've been kind of hanging out on the edge. They really have been escaping at the last minute and not playing great football over the last month. Sometimes when you do that, what you need to fully reset things is to just lose and to just not be able to get away with it, as they weren't in that game. They played really bad. They turned the ball over a lot, uncharacteristically. it makes me think, though, unless, like you said, I know a lot of people, and certainly there seems to be a lot of Tulane fans who believe that the team is completely checked out and they're done. To me, it's like, and that's a possibility, but I expect that they're going to have gone back to New Orleans after that game and said, like, okay, this is, we got our butts kicked, and this is a reality check kind of for where we've been this season. We got to figure it out, and suddenly we're in a must-win situation coming up against Memphis. And knowing John Summerall and the amount of games that he's won, I would think that he's going to be able to motivate his team, and they're going to play a lot better against Memphis than they did against UTSA.
I would agree.
You might get the best shot from this team, and the best shot from this team is pretty good, as we saw earlier in the season.
Well, they sure haven't looked like the team that beat Northwestern and beat Duke, but we'll see, because I think, they kind of think they owe Memphis one from last year in the upset. So it's going to be interesting. So this is amazing. I know you do a power ranking. The Americans got 6 teams with 3 games to go with only 1 loss. I've never seen anything like that in a Memphis league. Now, some of it is kind of weird because the Tigers, they play 4 of the 6 teams, and they're the 5th team, okay? North Texas only plays 2 teams. I think Tulane only plays 2 teams. USF played 3 teams. Memphis got the raw end of the deal.
Yeah, familiar story if you ask Memphis fans, especially with the conference. But some of it is kind of, you can predict these things at the beginning of the season. I think, we expected that UTSA was going to be one of the top teams in the conference. Obviously, they haven't been. Those other teams, ECU is playing well. And certainly looks like ECU, they play Charlotte this weekend, which is the worst team in the conference at home. I think they're 28-point favorites, which is crazy. But if they win that game, which obviously you would assume they do, then suddenly they're playing Memphis next week. They're hosting Memphis with a legitimate chance to get to the conference title game. And so Memphis is now, assuming nothing happens over the next couple of weeks, we don't know with Navy, it looks like Memphis is potentially going to be playing 3 games in which the other team is very much in the mix for the conference title in every game. And so you're talking about really, really high-level stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks. And I'm fascinated to see how it goes.
Me too. I really am. East Carolina scares, not that Tulane doesn't. Every one of those games, as you just mentioned, is going to be rough. And East Carolina, because Navy could be beaten up, and if you get past Tulane, you cannot look past East Carolina because they're good and they're fast, and it's at home. And the last time Memphis was there, they had a better team and lost in quadruple overtime. So,
yeah.
Ooh. As always, a pleasure speaking with you, Jonah. We'll do it again next Tuesday.
Yep, thanks for having me.
See you Friday at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. That's Commercial Appeal. Tiger beat writer Jonah Dillon. He's brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows you're making a major commitment, whether you're building your dream home, maybe there was land in your family, you want to make sure you utilize it correctly. Well, Ken and his son, William, now in the business, 3rd generation, they know how to utilize land. And by the way, if you don't have land, they can find land for you. They do that all the time. Maybe it's a renovation. You don't want to leave where you live. You love your lot. You love your location. But you want modern amenities. You want the media room with the speakers in the wall and the theater seating. You want the island in the kitchen. You want the California cabinets. Well, he knows exactly how to take all those modern amenities, put it in your old home to make it a modern palace. It's called renovation with innovation, or at least that's what I call it. He knows exactly how to do that so beautifully. And that way you get to stay in the place you love that you call home. Renovation with innovation, building your new dream home. There's only one place to go, and go look to kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. 3 generations of little details and big picture all at once, and the job's never done. They're there if you've got a problem years later to make sure everything is right. They're the place to go. They are Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Usual show tomorrow, Dennis Philippi. Then, of course, the business of sports. What were those World Series ratings like? Joe Denk will be here. And then we will talk with Steve Earhart, because there's a big meeting today with the college football playoff powers. We're going to find out what happened in that meeting today. That'll be Steve Earhart, our final segment. That'll do it for today. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everyone.